All right, Keith and Mick, if you're listening, that's on your next record. You got to cover that one. It's sitting right there for you.
And we both bought your book, Keith. So.
Exactly. Yeah, my wife bought it.
Keep that in mind.
Billy bought it. Yeah, we've supported the cause like they need it. There's Billy Squier and Strange Fire, great track from an album called Creatures of Habit. And definitely check that out. Again, some of these albums, I realize that you guys may have, as they say, checked out a little bit on the career at this point because they weren't as big as Don't Say No's and Emotions of the World. But as you can hear, there's some great material on them.
They were also taken out of print for years.
Yeah, and are they all in print now?
They're all on iTunes now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you probably can't buy them in any other way, but they are finally up on iTunes.
So now to close this whole thing out, musically at least, the album that you released last for Capitol Records comes out in 1993, and it's called Tell the Truth. And give us your take on where you're at here with this one.
I felt it was the best record I'd made since Don't Say No.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I really did. I worked with a producer named Mike Chapman, who's a tremendous producer with a string of hit acts and records, and Blondie and Sweet and Rod Stewart and
Lita Ford,
many people. But Mike is, again, kind of one of those consummate guys who's a songwriter and an arranger and plays a bit and great with sounds. And anyway, I took a little bit different tact on the record. I decided that rather than use the band on all the tracks, that I was going to bring some other players in, put together different bands for different tracks, because I knew a lot of people and I liked them. So I would put together groups depending on how I thought the song, I thought who would play best on these songs. Mm-hmm. So I got, I have the regular band on a few tracks, and then I have it mixed up, I mix and match throughout them. So that was really great. I think it made things more interesting. It created a lot of different dynamics. I think things were. It was always something kind of new and unexpected going on. I really like the songs. I think there's, I like to think that, irrespective of my chart sales, that I've become a better songwriter as I've continued to do it. So I think there's a lot of good stuff on it that way. I'm very happy with it. Interestingly enough, when I delivered the record, Capitol had got another president in, who was kind of a new wave president, who came from another label, who had a lot of success with bands who were not of my generation. And I don't know, for whatever, I didn't even know him, but for whatever reason, he decided he did not want me around. And he called me up, and this record was delivered. And I had one more record left in my contract, and he said to me, Billy, he said, first of all, this is the best record we have coming out in the next, 4 months, 6 months, whatever. And he said, I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen.
Make sure it doesn't happen?
Yeah, I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen.
He was telling you he was going to squash the record?
Yeah, and they did.
What was the logic there?
You'd have to ask him.
And what's your response to that?
I hung up the phone, called my lawyer, and said, "Get me off the label."
And they owed you one more. You owed them one more album contractually.
So I didn't do it, and they paid me for it and gave me my catalog, and I left.
And that's what resulted in you getting ownership of your catalog, is that decision by that person.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, when you put so much into a record like that, as you said, and you feel this is your greatest work in that point in better than 15 years. That's got to be a devastating phone call to get.
Yeah, well, it went beyond me calling my lawyer, because actually at that point I walked away. I quit the business.
Right.
I was so fed up with what I saw going on and how things had changed from when I started. And things always change, But I mean, I just thought things were going such a bad direction, and to be in a place like that where someone was going to fuck with me like that, I just said, this isn't where I want to be, and I quit. I left. I walked away. I didn't sell my equipment or anything, but I just left. I said, I'm done. I'm done. Bye. And I didn't do anything for 5 years. And I never really, I've never gone back to music as a career since
right.
I basically did quit. Now I try to find opportunities to play music where I can enjoy it.
Right.
which is different.
Right.
That's where we started. And, I've been fortunate by, Ringo asking me to play with him a few times, and, being able to go out and do some shows myself and find interesting projects that I still can go out and play and have a good time and not have to deal with any of these jerks.
Right, and we talked about
who
that.
have only proliferated since then. This is it hasn't gotten better.
Yeah, and we talked about that last time you were in because of the nature of some really smart business deals and contractual situations, owning the catalog, being the sole songwriter on your material, getting the Blockbuster deal and then getting the deal out the door that also helped you in retrospect. At this point in your career, you could walk away from music for 5-10 years. You really are in a luxurious position that you only really need to do it when you feel like doing it.
And I didn't really know that would happen, to be honest. I've been so fortunate that my music has been accepted the way it has. 'Cause I really thought when this happened, well, yeah, I'll make money for 5 years. I'll have a 5-year run. It'll carry on a little bit, but it's going to, it'll peter out. People aren't going to keep wanting to hear Billy Squier, and it's actually, it seems like more people want to hear it because it's continued. And I end up being in the best business in the world, which is publishing. Which I just own this stuff and people want to hear it.
Right.
But I really didn't think I would be sitting here today saying things have gone as well for me as that. And it's the luck of the draw, I guess. But it's been really good for me. And I always tell musicians, if you can, never give up your publishing. Hold on to your publishing because you have no idea of how good it can be for you.
Yeah, and as we established last time, not only having this catalog of songs, but now other people covering your material, the hip hop and rappers putting your songs, your parts of your songs, and that all comes to you. So,
and you have movies and and TV, and it's all sorts of applications of it. So
there was an NBC show or something, Chuck or something, that was using "Everybody Wants You" in every commercial break.
There are a lot of applications.
And who handles that stuff for you? Do you have a publishing company?
I found a really good publisher about, I'm going to say, 10 years ago. I never had one. I never found one I liked. I felt that they just wanted to get my money as opposed to make me money. And I found a guy named Mark Freed who has a boutique company here called Spirit Music, and he pitched me and he convinced me that, like he was a real fan. He knew my music, he believed in it, and he believed that he could do the right thing for me, and he has.
Yep.
So I still own my publishing, but he is
administers
he gets
it out there.
And he gets a piece depending on what
right.
he does. So, but that was what I always wanted. I said, I want to pay you for performance, and that's what we do.
Right.
So you're not going to pay me first. You're going to pay me if I deliver.
Right.
So good.
Right.
and he does. So no, we've had a really good relationship, and he's I think I would get a certain amount of the business without him, but I certainly get a lot more because of him and the people who he has working with him. They've been really great. They've been a great support system.
So we'll let you go by playing a song from Tell the Truth for people, but before we get to that, to close out, I know you had a few things that you wanted to mention to people about some stuff you have coming up. One thing here in New York in a couple
shameless
weeks.
Plug. The shameless plug moment.
Please do.
That's November 1st. In 2 weeks, November 15th for you in the metropolitan area, I'm going to be bringing a little blues review that I call Blues Deluxe to a club called the Iridium, which is where Les Paul played every Monday night for the last 12 years of his life. And it's kind of a tradition that the club is trying to keep going, and those of us who love Les and what he represented come in and play and do different things. And so that's something I'm going to do. I was doing some blues shows this summer primarily with James Cotton, but with some other those great blues guys from that time period, Pine Top and Hubert Sumlin and Taj and those guys. And it gave me put this idea in my head about, because Iridium wanted me to come down and play, and I'm not really a jazz player, so I didn't really know how comfortable I'd feel doing that. But I thought I could take the blues show in here. I can go in there and get my buddies, the Uptown Horns, to come and play, and do some things like because I've dabbled with this stuff in the past, but I never took horns on the road with me. Do things like the work song or something like that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do stuff again that. It's going to be different. It's not going to be the hits, but it's going to be good. I'm playing stuff that I grew up on. I had actually a lot of connection with blues music, which people don't really necessarily hear when they hear the Billy Squier classics. But I grew up, whether it was Clapton or Peter Green or Beck, so there's a lot of blues in my life from then, and so I'm going to kind of reach back and pull some of those songs out that I was playing. That was the first things I learned when I was a kid, and stuff like that, and some just things that I think are really great songs that we can have a good time. Have a good time playing.
And it's without question. I mean, nobody could deny that just about everything that, whether you're a hard rock fan, a metal fan, a rock fan, whatever, it all originates back from the blues.
Yeah,
I mean, no matter who it is, it all traces back there from the earliest Led Zeppelin or whatever it may be. So
that's right.
It'll be cool to see. I'll try to stop by and check that out a couple weeks from tonight because I walk right by there on the way out of here. So
yeah.
I'll definitely try to take a look. And as we talked about off the air, Billy, your music, as you said, stuff from Everybody Wants You, Don't Say No, Emotions, Emotion, all this stuff has really just taken on reached a whole new generation of rock fans now. Every summer, the drum sort of beats, and I hear it from the various festivals I get involved with that, hey, maybe we could book Billy Squier to play a full-on electric, rock and roll show. You did a little run not too long ago. Do you want to go back out and do something like that? Do you hope to do that?
No, I fully intend to. But just for me, it really comes down to when the time is right. I don't try to make it happen. I kind of get a sense when it might be good to happen.
Right.
And last year we had a lot of fun.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing about you and the smart moves you've made. You're in that position. Unfortunately, so many artists that we have on are not in that position. Yeah. They have to go and beat the doors down. They have to go play to 50 people in some dump somewhere. You can pick your spots and do things that you're comfortable with, and I guess that only kind of fuels the performance as well because you want to be there.
Yeah,
it's something you want to do.
No, I love to play, but I want it. So I said, I've gone through enough. I want it to be fun. Yeah. I don't have time for the rest of it.
Well, listen, man, I can't thank you enough for both last time and this time. It's
no, thank you.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for me being a fan here and doing this radio thing now for almost 30 years, this is something I always really wanted to do, to kind of hear all these stories and go album by album and learn about what you did and give you my thoughts and see if we were on the same page when you wrote that and if you liked that and I liked it. And I think it's I really enjoyed the conversation. And as I said, for me doing what I do, this is as good as it gets. I love getting into stuff like this. So thanks for being so generous with the time and coming in and spending a couple
and I've enjoyed it.
Shows.
It's a pleasure.
I'm glad. We've done Billy Squier, This Is Your Life Part 2 is now complete.
Until
we should certainly play something from Tell the Truth. Absolutely. Man, I don't know where to go here either. It's funny. The opening track on this album, Tell the Truth, is called Angry. And you talked about how angry you were when you got that call.
That would certainly be appropriate.
It's almost as if this song was written knowing that you were going to get that call.
Prophetic, yeah.
But of course it wasn't. It was written before you found out that things were going to unravel. But it might be a good way to go out.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Certainly an edgy rock and roll song for sure.
I think it's a good way to go.
But for people who may have missed the boat on this, again, this came out in, what was the year on this exactly?
93.
93, the final full-on rock album from Billy Squier, and called Tell the Truth. A song on here called Rhythm That I Love, song in here called Hercules That I Love, some great ballads. The Girl's All Right is a killer song. But
of course.
Billy.
Well, we did that live last year too.
We may have to do a whole show just on this album.
It's a good record. I'm game.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. But let's let you get out of here finally and play the opening track on Billy's final album to date, at least. Maybe there's another one coming down the line. Maybe.
There's still time.
Full-on rock record somewhere
still
down
time.
the line? All right. We'll see what happens. Billy, thank you for coming in. I appreciate
Pleasure.
it. We have almost 90 minutes left to go, so we'll get to some other things, but one final track from Billy's career. Again, this one called Angry from the Tell the Truth album.